guys, it's Sebastian with Looking, Feeling, Smelling Great. I'm back with another video for you today, and this time we're going to go ahead and discuss 18 tobacco dominant fragrances, so please stay tuned. So tobacco is a fragrance note that I've really gotten into recently, probably more about the last year and a half to 2 years. And I've got a good collection of 18 to 20 fragrances here. I'm going to keep it to the 18 because a few of them are not necessarily tobacco in the notes, but they kind of come off smelling like tobacco perhaps. But speaking of smelling like tobacco and not really having tobacco in the notes, we'll start off with the first one here. And this is called Tobacco Rose by Colognes Perfumes. Now this one is rose, which is one of my favorite notes, and tobacco, but there really is no tobacco note in this fragrance, although it has a bit of a dirty tobacco-like accord or note in this fragrance. And I think that's because of perhaps the combination of the hay note in here and then maybe some of the animalic ambergris type notes or the oak moss or something. But it's more, I think it's more of a rose, but still has that tobacco-ish thing happening in there. If you don't know about this one, check it out. It'll definitely make my list of top rose fragrances, but I kind of wanted to mention this one and add it to this list of 18 fragrances because it is got that tobacco thing happening in there. All right, that's Colognes Perfumes Tobacco Rose. Another fragrance that I have in this list of tobacco fragrances is one by Kilian, and it's not Back to Black. Of course, that's in this list, but that'll come much later. But this one is called Light My Fire, a very underrated fragrance from this house. It's definitely tobacco with a little honey, but it's completely different than Back to Black. This one's a little more dirty, maybe a little more green also. When I spray this one, it kind of almost has like a cumin-like BO-like factor. Not very heavy, slightly. And I really do enjoy this one. It's definitely a good one to have, but it's not one of my all-time favorite tobacco fragrances, but it's kind of got that, you know, smoky tobacco thing happening with some herbal or spicy accords along with the sweet honey. So check out Light My Fire if you haven't. It's definitely one to note. One that I've had that's really inexpensive for some time now, and I recently sprayed it just before I shot this. I'm shooting this video. I was like, wow, this is one of the best designer fragrances that are out there. This is Burberry London, right here. Everybody's probably worn this at one point or another. It's kind of a resinous, ambery, almost ambery kind of a tobacco. And this is very inexpensive. You can find deals on this one. This has an excellent performance also. And for someone that's kind of starting out with tobacco and doesn't know much about what tobacco type of fragrances are like, I think this is definitely a good one. So check out Burberry London. Speaking of more inexpensive designer tobacco fragrances, this next one is definitely on the inexpensive side. It's from Michael Kors. It's this bottle right here. This one's a really big, beefy, classy, masculine, powerhouse-ish kind of a tobacco scent. Very, very big and powerful, really strong. I remember wearing a lot of this in the early 2000s. It came out probably like 2001 maybe, somewhere around there. But I really, really love this one. It's very it reminds me of my dad and the fragrances he wore in the late 70s. Got that kind of beefiness to it. And you can find deals on this one. Check it out. It's not the new Michael Kors that's come out last year. This is the one that, like I said, from the early 2000s. The new one is not tobacco dominant, at least I don't remember it being, but this one definitely is. It's pretty heavy on the tobacco, so check it out, Michael Kors for men. And speaking of really classic tobacco fragrances that are designer, I recently added this one back in my collection. It was not in my previous video, my top 10 tobacco fragrances. This is Versace Dreamer. Now this one actually, even though it's potent and everything, and I wore this in the late 90s, really, really loved it. It kind of reminded me of another one similar from another Italian house called Moschino per Homme, I believe it was. It's been a while since I've worn it. So I pulled one over the other. The other one was not as tobacco-ish, but I think it did have tobacco. But anyway, Versace Dreamer is almost like a fresh tobacco. It's not a dirty, it's very bright, but still kind of on the beefy side. But really, really excellent. One of my favorite tobacco scents, actually. Really, really quality. If you haven't tried it, definitely try it. Again, this is one of those inexpensive tobacco fragrances you can probably find for like $40, $50 for 100 ml. It's definitely worth it. So anyone that's starting out with tobacco fragrances definitely should check out Versace's Dreamer. And speaking of inexpensive tobacco fragrances, this one didn't make it in my list last time I put out a video about tobacco fragrances because I had just found out about it right after I shot it. It's LANVIN's AVANT GARDE. LANVIN AVANT GARDE is around $25, $30 for 100 ml. It's tobacco and beeswax, kind of the almost warm and comforting, but still got that edge with the tobacco. It's very unique scent, although it does remind me of YSL's La Nuit L'Homme, but then again, this one's a lot more better it has a lot better performance, and it just comes off a little more richer and not as fresh as the other one. This is a very classy scent, very masculine, very tobacco, definitely worth checking out, especially for the price. Check out LANVIN AVANT GARDE. Another one that I recently added back to my collection, it's a big powerhouse from the house of ARAMIS. This is ARAMIS's Havana, a different bottle than from what I remember back in the early 90s. The bottle was blue, this is clear. I think they've all rebranded it and made all the bottles similar to this. But this one's really beautiful, powerhouse tobacco. Definitely has that Cuban cigar kind of thing happening. And it also has that kind of Aramis kind of signature, but still has that tobacco edge. It's really, really wonderful stuff. And this stuff is probably going to turn off some of the young noses because it does have kind of an outdated kind of a scent. Perhaps it's not a lot of scents are similar to this. I really love it myself. I don't mind that very big 80s kind of early 90s type of a scent, but then again, like I said, it might turn off some young noses, but give it a chance. It performs excellently, smells great, classy, masculine, reminds me of my dad because he wore lots of Aramis, and I really love this line of fragrances, so check out Aramis Havana. This next one, everybody knows about this one. It's from the house of Mugler, and it's pure Havana. Really beautiful, honey and tobacco, going back to Cuba again with the cigar thing. But this one's sweeter than this one. I just got the Mugler DNA with the patchouli. I really, really love pure Havana. I don't love it as much as pure malt, but then again, it's depending on what mood I'm in. But I think it's one of the better tobacco-ish, kind of Mugler DNA-ish fragrances. Of course, it's pure Havana. So you've got to have this in your collection if you love tobacco fragrances. So check out pure Havana. It's got excellent performance as well. This next one is from the house of Santa Maria Novella. It's called Tobacco Toscano. It's this fragrance right here. It's on the fresher side, and it's in a cologne. So it's going to require you to spray more, but God, the tobacco in here is very creamy and velvety, silky smooth, almost comforting. It's one that you can actually wear in the summertime and not be overwhelmed with too much tobacco. It just has that quality to it. Plus it's Santa Maria Novella, the bottles are really cool. They're easy to decant, and it's a wonderful, wonderful scent. So check out Tobacco Toscano by Santa Maria Novella. This next one is one of the most popular fragrances in fragrance community, and it's called Chergui by Serge Lutens. This is one of two Serge Lutens I have in this collection. This one is honey, tobacco, and hay. One of the most beautiful tobacco scents, I think. It's dirty yet sweet, earthy, and almost like woodsy quality and all that good stuff. It's such a wonderful scent, and the juice is just one of the most beautiful colors, I think. So check out Chergui if you haven't. I'm sure you've probably heard about it and have worn it, but still definitely a good fragrance to have in this list. So this next one is called Tobacco Latino. It's from the MONOTHEME fragrance collection of fragrances, or a company. An Italian brand. This one actually is a discontinued fragrance that I was kind of talked into buying. I'm actually very happy that I have it. And guess what? It reminds me of a much more expensive fragrance from the house of Serge Lutens that also is in here, and that one is called Perfumery Turc in the bell jar here. This is a lot fresher. This one actually I picked up for about $25. It's really, really expensive on eBay, but I can't find it anywhere else. As I said, it's kind of discontinued, and you might find some here and there. But boy, these two have similarities. Whereas this one is 140 euros for 100 ml from Paris, is where I brought it from. This one's beautiful, beautiful stuff. It's a lot amberier than this, whereas this one has more of a fresher quality. But when you kind of smell them side by side, you can kind of almost smell that they're similar. But then again, you'll notice the differences also. So they almost seem like they're from the same family. So if you can get your hands on this stuff, do. It's more of a fresher tobacco, but in the background it's got like that deep richness about it. And then if you really want this one, man, this one's one of my favorite all-time tobacco scents, next to another one in this list, obviously. But wow, very, very classy, unique tobacco. Not so smoky or dirty, just very, very nice and ambery. Love it. Perfumery Torque. And again, this one is Tobacco Latino by MONOTHEME, I think is the brand. So this next one is a new one in my collection, and I'm not too familiar with it. I just picked it up recently. And it's from the house of Odori, and it's called Tobacco. It's this bottle right here. And this one is slightly animalic and slightly dirty, but then again, it's not big and beefy. So it's got that unique, beautiful Italian niche fragrance quality attached to it. I really like it. And the bottle's really, really cool too. Kind of like a glass, you know, in a little cage of wood or something like that. I'm still exploring this one, but it's really a pleasant scent. One of the more unique tobacco scents. Nothing like I've mentioned here in this collection. So there's a little bit of a leatheriness also with this one, which I really am liking. So check out Odori's Tobacco. Very, very unfamiliar house for me, but I'm glad I've discovered this one because this one's really good. Two from the house of Tom Ford, and you probably know which ones those are. Tom Ford's Tobacco Oud is almost similar to Amber Absolute, but it's an oud, ambery oud with a dirty tobacco ash kind of thing. This bottle right here. Now this one is got that big dirtiness to it. So a lot of people are not really into this fragrance. I hear a lot of complaints about it, but it's big, it's a bit bold, it lasts a long time. It's a full-on dirty ashtray tobacco, which sometimes you need that, especially in the really cold winter days where you want a fragrance to be like really big and beefy to last. It dries down to be very ambery, which I love, but at the top it's very dirty, so be careful with tobacco oud. I carry my little atomizer that comes with those flacons. And the next one is Tobacco Vanille. Tobacco Vanille is one of the most beautiful Tom Ford fragrances. This another flacon. Now Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille has a very sweet quality to it. Kind of comes off comforting, vanillic, slightly cinnamony. I don't know. I don't think there's cinnamon mentioned in the notes, but I think somehow with the notes kind of making it seem like cinnamon. But such a beautiful scent. Very, very excellent performance too. Tobacco Vanille is one of the 3 most popular fragrances, I think, in the Tom Ford Private Blend collection. It's Tobacco Vanille, Noir de Noir, and Oud Wood. I think those are the most popular. But wow, Tobacco Vanille you have to have in your collection if you love tobacco. I think it's a given. So check it out. A couple more before we go to my favorite all-time fragrances. This one's from I Profumi di Firenze. It's tobacco. This bottle right here. This one is a floral tobacco. So basically you've got fresh and the tobacco, fresh tobacco and tobacco flowers to make this unique Italian niche brands of tobacco. Nothing in my collection is like this tobacco. It's completely different than everything. It's very floral, it's very green, and it's really, really unique and lasts a long, long time. So check out Tobacco from I Profumi di Firenze. This one's also from the House of By Kilian, and this one is Back to Black. Now you all know Back to Black, it's got very big honey note in it, and I think, to me, the honey note is a lot bigger and more dominant than the tobacco, but the tobacco is there. A lot of people complain it's a little too powdery, baby powdery. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, some people do, I guess, they don't like baby powder, but hey, this stuff smells so good. It's almost drinkable. It's like real honey with a little dirty tobacco. Sometimes when you buy some honeys that are like really intense, made from the bees that are making it from the really fragrant flowers or the potent flowers, sometimes that honey is very strong. So it might kind of come off like that with the kind of the tobacco in there. So do check out Back to Black if you haven't. Now last but not least, this is my favorite tobacco scent. You probably know what it is already. This is Herod by Parfum de Marly. So this one, very classy. One of the most classiest scents I have in my collection. Just feel like $1,000,000 when I wear this fragrance. I don't know what it is about it, but just smelling excellent when Herod touches my body. I really love it. It's like the best tobacco that I've ever put my nose on. I mean, all of these are excellent, but this one just is one notch above all of these. Just makes me feel really, really good. So I don't know what it is about this fragrance, but really, really sexy tobacco scent. Herod by Parfum de Marly. So guys, thanks so much for watching this video on 18 tobacco fragrances. I didn't have 20. I did have 20, but a few of them were definitely, as I said, not quite tobacco, even though they might come off like tobacco. But perhaps in the next year or so, we'll make a 20 or 25 tobacco video. But for now, these are 18 excellent tobacco fragrances. A lot of the designers, as I mentioned in here, are inexpensive, definitely under $100, so you can afford it if you're just starting out in the fragrance collecting game. Most of these are more expensive, niche quality or niche brands, so get in on decants or splits if you can get them, or you can also, if you have the money, save up for them and pick them up, because a lot of them are really excellent stuff. Thanks again for watching. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'll have a link to these fragrances below. You can pick them up if you want them. Like this video, share it, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.